Hi besties, can we just have a moment of your time before we start the episode? Can we ask you to please
like, follow, subscribe.
Love ya!
I really struggle with feeling guilty when I'm resting, and my to-do list is full. Any suggestions?
When it comes to guilt, I think it's important that we understand that the presence of guilt doesn't actually mean that we're about to do something wrong.
You have to advocate for yourself. You often think like, oh, my leaders have got my back.
How to foster a tribal classroom in a class that plays football every break time, which results in endless feuds.
It has allowed us to do is literally look at our play. What is on offer? And Opal said there's 16 different types of play.
And I often feel intimidated and not confident to explore conversations around race.
Actually, as a teacher, then being able to be honest with the children and saying, I don't know everything about this.
And I had to have a conversation with her about why that's not kind, and why these kids might go on timeout, and what are they struggling with.
We are super lucky to have all of these wonderful people, and you guys have wrote down some questions. We haven't got them all, okay? But we've picked some to ask them. So we're going to start with Tan. Who's it for, my love?
Suzy, it's for you. I really struggle with feeling guilty when I'm resting, and my to-do list is full. Any suggestions? This guilt often ruins my rest attempt.
Oh, we can all identify, yeah? I think the first thing to do is to get clear on your own personal why of rest. I don't expect anyone to care about rest itself, but we care about what it facilitates. So think about what rest facilitates. What does it give you access to? What does it allow you to do or to be? And then that can remind us of why we're doing it. But when it comes to guilt, I think it's important that we understand that the presence of guilt doesn't actually mean that we're about to do something wrong. So we can see it as a little signal for us to check in and just make sure that we're acting in congruence with our moral compass. So we can still take that nourishing action, even in the presence of guilt. Yeah?
Thank you, Suzy. And your second question. Advice for talking to people who view rest as lazy and think it's normal to work until you're burnt out.
Coming back to that mantra, I'm not doing nothing, I'm resting. It's really tricky. I think allow other people to have their own stuff. And if they view you as lazy, forget about it. You know, Teflon shoulders, let it slide from your shoulders. You have to pace yourself with compassion. Otherwise, we know what we lay ourselves vulnerable to. Yeah? Is that enough?
Did you want to say something, Marta?
No, beautiful.
You were like, I also.
I mean, I think our society wants us to not rest. So also kind of remembering, who does this serve? Is it serving you, or is it serving others? And you matter, so it's okay to prioritize you.
Absolutely.
I think as teachers as well, you have to advocate for yourself. You often think like, oh, my leaders have got my back. Okay, we'll leave that there. But you really have to advocate for yourself and what you need. And I know it's easier said than done, but just know that we can't rely on other people to do that for us.
My first question is for Adrian, and is one I can relate to with Key Stage 2 settings. So, how to foster a tribal classroom in a class that plays football every break time, which results in endless feuds?
Do you know what's interesting? So my school, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, you know, as in a lot of schools, football's a big issue, and there's often a big spillover effect. You come into class and you're having to sort out what's happened at football. And you don't have to partner with this organisation, but we partnered with an organisation called Opal, Outdoor Play and Learning. But essentially what it has allowed us to do is literally look at our play. What is on offer? And Opal said there's 16 different types of play. I can't remember all of them, but even the fact that we had this training, and I was like, wow, you know, there were several types of players that I just hadn't even considered that as being an option for school. That seems like something that we would do at home. And basically, you then audit how do we offer children access to these types of play. And the long story short is, since changing what we have on offer, football is less of an issue now, because many children that only saw it's football or nothing is, I'm going to play on the massive sandpit we now have. And what's interesting about the massive sandpit is it's mostly year 5 and year 6 is playing in it.
Oh, love it.
Because the early years
nice.
and Key Stage 1, they have access to it all the time in their setting, but the Key Stage 2 kids don't. So when we put a massive sandpit in, they were like, wow, and like their younger inner child came out. So
nice.
So yeah, that's what we found is actually on a whole school basis, look at the different types of play that's on offer, because often it's going to be quite limited. Increase the scope, so there's a space for role play, there's a place for construction and building. We now allow rough and tumble. We allow them to climb trees, and we teach them how to do it safely and manage their own risk. And basically, football is now less of an issue in our school because children are choosing to play in lots of different ways.
It's amazing what that brave and honest reflection actually on your own practice can completely revolutionise, which is amazing and what we're all about. The second question is, how can we build cultures of well-being when our leaders seem to oppose this? For example, toxic gossiping and, I think it was SLT, shooting down ideas.
Yeah. Is that for me?
Yeah, sorry,
okay,
still
wow.
for you, it's a big one.
Do you know what, like, when you look at the evidence base behind a whole school approach to wellbeing, at the centre is kind of ethos and culture, and how senior leadership teams are central to that. And having worked in 3 different schools as an employed teacher, and now part of my work is going into lots of different schools, I would say that sometimes the best thing you can do, if the culture and the ethos is not right for you, is to find a setting that suits you, because it's very hard to change a culture where at the top there is a culture of being shot down, there's a culture of gossiping, and it's not nice to work in that environment. And I think you can do some things to influence it, but there's a lot that's out of your control. And sometimes the only thing directly in your control is, this environment isn't serving me, so I need to find somewhere more conducive. So it's a bit maybe a cop out, which is to leave, but sometimes that's the only option.
Being brave again.
Yeah.
It's a theme, isn't it?
Exercising your agency.
Yeah. Thank you.
My first question is for Orlene. As a white woman, I often feel intimidated and not confident to explore conversations around race. How would you suggest I and others like me build up confidence and understanding?
Oh, good question.
Juicy one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. How do I say this in a nutshell? So first of all, I think ownership of that is really important, because you're now open to understanding that there's more to learn, that there are experiences that you may not understand or see, but you're willing to do the work to educate yourself into how you can best support your children. I think for children, they are so used to the teachers who are black or global majority in the school, if you have any, them being the ones that deal with issues of race and racism. So they get burdened with, we're having this really difficult conversation, could you just come in and talk to the children? And actually, if we're trying to build anti-racist leaders of the future, it's really important that the children see that we can all have those conversations. We can all, I think there's nothing more lovely actually as a teacher than being able to be honest with the children and saying, I don't know everything about this, but I'm learning. We can learn together. I think that kind of vulnerability frees up the, oh my God, I've got to say the right thing, and if I don't say and that can tie us up in knots and we can freeze. But actually being open about the fact that I'm learning, we're learning together, looking at books together, reading things together, understanding together. I think the children will understand that, and you're actually modelling what to do when learning about the topic. Whenever it's about race or racism, I think one of the issues for us is that as teachers, we often feel that we always have to have the answer. We always have to have the right answer, and that's a huge pressure on us. That's huge. I've always got to say the right thing. And actually, I think it's really important for children to understand that they are lifelong learners, and that we are still learning, they are still learning, and you are modelling to them that idea of, I'm not going to be the staff member that's going to walk past, I'm the staff member that's going to stop, and where I don't understand, I'm going to try and deepen my knowledge. And I think that's such a wonderful thing to model for our children as well. Don't be scared.
So I love that. Sorry, I just forgot I had another question. I was just so engrossed. My other question is for Dr. Marta. So, whilst not manipulation, do children learn that certain actions or behaviour will get a desired result? E.g., if I say I was good at school, I'll get a toy, or if I cry, I'll get an ice cream.
Yes, of course. And they learn that through the responses that they get from the adults, so the parents or the teachers. So of course they'll learn the rewards they're getting from school, what they need to do to get X, for example. And when we were talking about that, or I was talking about that, the difficulty is some children can't meet those expectations, so they never are the kid who gets the reward. But of course children learn from what we do, which is why sometimes it's actually quite nice if the rewards and the punishments are not there at all, or they're really downplayed, because then they're not acting out to get something or avoid something. You just actually see them as a full child, which is very different.
My turn. Okay, mine's for you, Dr. Marta, and it's basically looking at the carrot and the stick.
Yes.
So first, it's about looking at golden time.
Yes.
And time out. Just a little one. What are your thoughts? Should we start with golden time? What are your thoughts with golden time?
So I'm not a teacher, so I'm just going to double check before I assume anything.
Yeah.
Tell me what golden time is.
So golden time is essentially, wave your flag if you do golden time still, by the way. Has everyone put their flags away? I was like, but we had to pack up. It's essentially when you have like an hour or maybe 30 minutes at the end of the week.
You get to choose what you do.
Yeah, where it's kind of like freedom,
but it's
or
not
like
a reward.
happy time.
All children get to do it.
But it can be taken away.
Oh, no. So absolutely. I'm like, yeah, what a beautiful thing to do at the end of the day. So I love the idea of golden time, right? In terms of, and now for the last half an hour, you get to do whatever you want. You can read a book, you can draw, you can play, you can run around, skip, whatever, climb a tree. But I don't agree with that idea of, well, you didn't behave today, so you get no golden time. Like, that is not healthy, because really, I love the idea that it's golden. I mean, golden time should be, this is your moment to de-stress and transition. Like, I love that idea, between school and home. And I often talk about that transition is actually very tricky for lots of kids, right? They've been in an environment which is so different from home. Lots of stimulus, lots of focus, lots of like concentration. And then they're going into their home life, and often, well, mine does, she comes out like blah, 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 like all over the place. You know, she needs a bit of running around or a bit of quiet time. But if they get a little bit of that at school, then you're actually helping them transition, which is a real skill, and it's supporting them. But if you use it as a punishment, it's no longer that, isn't it? It's basically saying, if you're a good kid, you get to do something pleasurable. If you're a naughty child, or you didn't do as you're told, you don't get to do something you like, which is just not a very nice lesson. As for time out,
can I just say, petition to make Dr. Marta's version of golden time a thing?
Yes, make it.
Like, this makes total sense. Why aren't we doing that? Time out.
Well, I mean, I've written an entire chapter on time
Time's
out.
up on time out.
Yeah, I find it really hard in lots of ways, because I trained in time out. So I am trained in how to teach parents to use time out. The way that I was trained, and the way the model at the time, which is a positive psychology model that I used to run in groups of parents who came from very socioeconomically deprived backgrounds in London, is not how parents use time out or how schools use time out. Like, just be really clear, it's very different. There are like 15 steps before you get there, and it's a last resort. And the idea of time out is that when you use it effectively, people don't really use it anymore because of how it's been taken out of context. But when you use it effectively, you will basically stop using it. So if you use it once a week, it should gradually go down to once a month, to once every 3 months, to I'm not using it anymore. And instead, I feel like timeout has become the strategy. When something isn't going as it should, we put you on timeout. And so it gets overused, and it's actually the opposite outcome of what it was meant to be for. And a lot of timeout was meant to be for parents who used to smack their kids. I mean, smacking is in the news again, but to give them a moment to breathe and find something more useful to do than lash out. So time out in schools, what it really does for me, because my daughter comes home and tells me they use time out in my daughter's school. I think it's so common. So, is just points out the kids, like really like shines a spotlight on kids who cannot meet certain expectations of the classroom. And those kids, by other kids, just get labeled as naughty. So my daughter didn't want certain children to come to her party. It makes me really sad because they're the timeout kids. And I had to have a conversation with her about why that's not kind, and why these kids might go on timeout and what are they struggling with. So I can tell just by her talking to me. I've never seen these kids. I'm a psychologist. I'm like, oh, they're struggling with like fidgeting, and they're struggling with like, little outbursts of like, talking without putting their hands up, or not being able to sit with their legs crossed. I'm like, why do you force them to sit like that anyway? I know that lots of you learn beautiful things from Jen about that. But it really gets to me because it's not teaching them what to do instead. It's just making them feel bad. And this idea of go and sit on the thinking chair, which is what they call it in our school. Yeah. And I'm like, and think about what? Like, what are you helping them think about? And when you've thought about it, come back. And I'm like, I mean, really say that to a 5 and 6 year old and they're like, what am I thinking about? They're just thinking about, okay, I'm a bad kid. I'm a really bad kid. That's what they're thinking about, genuinely. Because tomorrow they're going to be back on timeout. So what did they learn? If it was effective, you'd stop using it. And in our school, they also stop them from going into the playground, which is the worst thing you can do. If a kid is fidgety in your classroom, they need to run around in the playground. Like, if you want them not to fidget, give them space and moments where they can move. Don't do the opposite, which is like, I'm going to force you to sit still for longer because they're just going to fidget more. Like, it doesn't make any logical sense. I mean, I could rant about time out
We
forever.
enjoy it. We have a mantra that's, you're never going to help a child by making them feel bad about themselves.
Never.
It's never, ever going to be the answer.
We don't feel better about, if somebody shames you,
you're not going to be like, oh, I'm going to change my ways.
Yeah, I'm going to change my way and I really like you, so I'm going to do this for you. You're like, oh, you're horrible. And maybe we shouldn't be friends because that wasn't very nice. But as adults, we have that agency. As kids, they don't. Like in a classroom, they can't say, well, I think that teacher picks on me, which some kids do say. But then what do? Like, they're not going to move them. They're just like, that's what you get. So I'm, I want to move my child to your school. Like, absolutely, this has to stop. And I think it will over time. I think schools will shift, teachers will shift, because you guys are such, you are the movement. Like, it's happening. And although it might feel small, I don't think it's small. I think
it's mighty.
It's mighty. Yes, I love that. And I think it will change. I think there are, time out will start to just fade because I think people are recognizing that it's not effective. It's, the simplest term is it's not effective. The worst bit is it makes kids feel really bad.
Thank you. I don't know how much time you have, but I thought I'd go rogue, might go a bit rogue, and do a roaming mic. Bit rogue, everyone terrified. But if anyone wants to ask a question on the mic or say a takeaway on the mic, TJMC fam, I'm obviously looking at you to lead the way. Yeah, Verity.
This was a question that a colleague actually asked me to ask on his behalf because he couldn't come today. He teaches a class that has been demonised as the class, and it's they're year one. There's only 16 of them, and it's just a combination of personalities. There's just a couple in there that together create a bit of a potion, but they are really interesting children. They're really lovely, and he has been kind of hit with a situation where the SLT are coming in hard with, we're going to rack up how many minutes you're losing off your golden time. The word squashed has been used as well. Boot camp has been used. And I'm just sat there like twitching the whole time. But his advice, he's kind of changed this year from agreeing with them to now seeing this sort of way as being the right way. And it's kind of a question for anyone, but how can we do that when he's not got the ultimate control over that situation, but what can he be doing to kind of help in a way that,
you, Adrian.
I would say, and it's kind of echoed through a lot of the talks today, particularly like Orlene's talk. I was nodding frantically during hers. Like, your colleague has to be the advocate for that class. He has to, like, he is their tribal leader. He is their, you know, he is the one to help guide them in the right direction. I would say those classes. So when I brought in the team flag in my class, I had that class. It was a class that no one wanted to teach. And in fact, when I was told I was going to have them, my heart sank, because they had that notoriety in our school. And this was at the time, a year 1 class, and I was going to be their year 2 teacher. I know, and this is the thing.
That's so little.
Exactly. But there's a couple of things to reassure your colleague. My trickiest classes have been my favorite classes. Not necessarily at the time, but like, they are the fondest class. When I look back, I remember them, because you go on a huge journey from where you started to where you end up. Like, there's an opportunity for a massive bond to be formed over that year. And secondly, and this kind of comes back to my point. I wanted to say this and I didn't, about working in a school where the SLT, you know, and there's a bit of gossiping. Sometimes as teachers, and this is hard, when you feel like you're going against the grain, you have to just be brave and challenge some of the things that you just fundamentally don't agree with. So boot camp, all of these ridiculous ideas have to be pushed back on and challenged. And I would say, from my experience, being like, we're meant to be now more evidence-informed profession, the evidence is firmly stacked against a lot of these outdated ideas that you push against, Jen, and some of the things you talked about, Marta. And so, like, read Louis Cozzolino's book, like, you know, go in armed and, you know, share the research. So it's actually this strategy that you're proposing, it's been shown not to work. It's not the best approach. I think we should be doing this. And then, even if they're not fully on board, I would say, like, sod it. When that door is shut, like, that's your little domain. Like, do what is right for your cohort of children and just focus on them and do what's right for them. And what will happen over time, if you're being consistent with that, things will start to shift in a positive way. And then SLT will see, oh, I can see your class a lot calmer. Oh, they haven't lost as many golden minutes, even if they want to, you know, keep that record, because you're doing what's right for them. And sometimes we do just have to be a bit rebellious and a bit more renegade and go against what SLT are saying, because that's what the kids need. It's not, you know, you're fighting their corner rather than SLT's.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I want to add to it as well. We're going to go off on one. I feel like I've spoken to a few people about this today as well. And just exactly what you said, Adrian, about knowing the research. But like, that's what we do. That's what we do at TGMC. Like, we give you bite-sized videos with the research in it. And I was saying that when I was at a school where there was timeout and detentions and take away from play, I remembered that quote from Dr. Dan Siegel about the brain activity and how when you isolate children, it presents similarly to physical pain. And when you say that to someone, you can't unhear it. You're like, okay, damn. And then you're like, and here's the book. So this is what we're going to do instead. So this is another idea. And I think when you have classes with extreme or multiple behaviours, I think what we have to understand there is that in the same breath that there's multiple needs and multiple unmet needs and big feelings there. So it's not going to be fixed the next day, which is what punitive measures and extrinsic rewards try to do, and to try and think of it as like roots, that you might not see it yet, but just like those classes you said with the journey, the more you're watering that plant, you get to that journey at the end, and that class is completely different. I was telling Jodie, I had one just this year where I literally was like, I can't teach this class. Like, this is real tough. Like, they were genuinely fighting. I could not speak for one minute without calling out, standing up. And like, honestly, my absolute fave class. Like, I love seeing them. Every time I see them, regardless of how many different needs are in that class, which there are, they're still so happy and they're still engaged. That's at this point in the year. So it's about kind of watering that plant. Orlene, did you want to say something?
I
now?
did,
Go on,
because
babes.
that class was always my favourite class. I saw it as a bit of a challenge. You just got to be brave, Orlene, because I knew that they needed an advocate. That particular class for me, I now go to their weddings, their christenings, their baby showers. Like, I see them all the time. They're always contacting me on Instagram.
Oh my God.
Because I for them was what they were for me. I for them was
something to me.
And I think it's really important. So for your friend, I would say that, first of all, unfortunately, there will be staff in the school that will be invested in it failing for him with this class, because to feel better about themselves, they need to think it was the children, it wasn't them.
Absolutely.
So he needs to kind of hold on to that and remember that people will be invested in him failing. Similarly, though, I do think sometimes SLT might come in with all these stringent measures because they think it's a supportive tool. So they might be coming in and saying, we're doing this, this and this because we don't want to lose you, or we want to keep you, and everybody else hasn't coped. So to keep you, we're going to really bring out the big guns. And actually what I would say to your friends is, one of the things that I did, I had this particular tricky class that I had, I was told that one of the children was about to be excluded. There was nothing more that they could do for this particular child. And I said, can I just ask you to give me 3 months? Let me shut the door for 3 months. Give me a chance to fix this, and if it doesn't work, I will definitely come back to you and say, what else can we do? But I want you to give me this little bit of leeway to build those relationships, to model the way that we interact, to allow them to understand that there's an adult that will listen and see and value their contributions and hear them. Because actually, ultimately, if a class is behaving like that, they're not being heard in some sort of way. So I think it's really important to just have some time, and we might not have all the answers, we might not even know what they're trying to communicate to us. You know, when you look at a class, you're like, oh my God, they're not communicating anything, they're just being that class.
Just who they are.
Yeah, but actually, if we have that space and we have that time, I think we can slowly begin to find the answers and to be that advocate that they need, and to allow them to feel like they are a tribe. I'm never going to forget that, honestly.
Your time? One more, I think. Yeah, go on. Quick with that hand.
This might be me sliding into your DMs later, as it might not be appropriate for now. But when you mentioned, we bring in rough and tumble, my ears just pricked up, because I feel like instinctively I know that children and a lot of the boys, and there's research around testosterone and everything, it's really powerful for them. But it's one of those ones which is like, we do not have rough play in our school. We have non-contact, and at the moment we're being told that if they have any kind of contact at playtime, they must sit on the bench and miss time. And it's obviously communicating they do need to move their bodies. But how are you implementing it in your school in a safe and appropriate way?
It's a really good question. And one huge caveat was that as part of the bringing in this new approach to play, like, you are having to challenge really old mindsets, including your own. Like, even though I'm a huge wellbeing advocate, there were certain things I was like, this doesn't feel right, like letting children climb trees. Like, so there was a big transition period where a lot of staff that were out on playground duty felt uncomfortable because it wasn't what we were used to. Like you were saying about your daughter, trusting your daughter to eat until she's full. Like, we had to trust the children to climb trees in a way that was kind of safe, trusting their ability to manage their own risk, rather than us telling them, which happens all the time in school. We tell children what they can do and what they can't do because we think that's the safest thing for them, and they don't learn how to take risks. They don't learn how to get out of tricky situations that they've found themselves in. So and the rough and tumble was those two boys have got two sticks and they're whacking them against each other, having a kind of sword fight. Like, should we intervene? Like, there was a whole period where we didn't know as staff what we should allow and what we shouldn't. So I just wanted to mention that, because it's not like, we changed plans, suddenly it was smooth. There was a lot of pushback from staff, a lot of resistance, a lot of discomfort. But we're now in a place where it's it's just going really well. And we have play assemblies. So if we're introducing, say, a new type of play right at the beginning, we will kind of give the pupils some voice as well. Like, what do we think acceptable rough and tumble will look like? How will we feel? How will we know when we've gone too far? So it's getting the children to kind of manage that rather than us saying, well, when you've done this, that's too far and you're going to, boundaries and just trusting the experience. And as part of that experience, making mistakes is okay. Like the adults and the kids, like we're on this journey to change our approach to play. And the other stat around Opal and their approach to play is that 20% of a child's time in school is playtime, right? 20%. And how much time do we actually invest in thinking about play, which is very little. It's like, who's on playground duty? And that's about it. So because it's such a significant chunk of time, we have to take it more seriously. We have to properly audit what we're doing. We have to ask the children, is this working for you? What would you like? Is there different ways that we can manage playtime? And that's what this process has given us.
It's amazing.
But yes, it is a long journey. It's not a quick fix.
Play is such a vehicle for learning for kids that it's so fundamental. Like playtime should be thought of as learning time as well in a school. It's not just releasing.
No.
It's learning, thinking, socializing skills, managing risk. Like all those things are so important.
Yeah.
I'm moving my child to your school. Like we're having a chat.
Just saying.
Did you want to do one final? Can we do one final? Yeah. Go on, Tan.
Thank you so much. Just around talking to SLT and things like that. When discussing that, Suzy, this question's for you. My heart rate increased about talking to other people physiologically. So I was just thinking, there's going to be other people here who are thinking about talking to their SLT as well. What strategies, mantras will you, or validations will you give to us really to take away when we do have those conversations and when that does come up? Because I think it's absolutely important that we're discussing that and we are in agreement with that. But it's how we're looking after ourselves really as well.
My heart rate's going really fast now thinking about how I can answer that question, right? Because this is the nature of being human. So please, can we allow ourselves to have a natural human response to something that, when you're put on the spot or you've got to do something challenging, it's okay to have a physiological response. And yet, even in the midst of that, we can still string a couple of words together. It's okay, right? So I would suggest in those moments, be clear on what you're attempting to achieve. It's that purpose that galvanizes you. You will find it from somewhere. We always do. But there are some tangible things that we can do that will help us soften into the moment. Okay, now there's the first mantra. I soften into this moment. But I can also stand tall. I can stand firm. I can advocate for myself. I can advocate for those in my care. And then some simple things that will help us be able to communicate as we wish to. We can use the body, we can use the breath, we can use touch. So quite often when I'm talking, I can't help but do stuff like this. This might be one because it's unobtrusive. Try it. If you take hold of one thumb in the other hand, there's something very soothing about that. So maybe you might do that beforehand. Or maybe I quite like hands on heart because that's really grounding. Soften the shoulders, stand tall, long spine, and then use the breath. So I think coming back to that candle breath or just making sure that you're breathing, right? Some chicken wing shoulder rolls to get you into that tall upright posture. Yeah, different things in different moments, but be gentle with you and know that even in the midst of that maelstrom of stuff that's happening internally, you'll find the words. Yeah.
Can we give a huge clap for our authors today, please?
Oh my goodness, the event was such a moment. So that Q&A was fire, wasn't it? We were just the whole time. I mean, I was saying I was next to Soam, and Soam was everything I said. It was like a fly in my ear. But what I mean is that it was just so amazing. Everything that they were saying really resonated with us all. So I wanted to take a little beat to talk about what were our biggest takeaways from the day. And I just had to get something up because I had messaged Evie afterwards. And this is Evie's WhatsApp to me. Honestly, that event has changed me as a woman. Which I was like, I'm just going to screenshot that. So let's start with you, Evie. It changed you as a woman.
Yes.
Let's hear.
I just think there's so many little things. Obviously, we're living TGMC anyway, but there's always room to grow, and there's so many parts from different things that I've just taken or I feel like enhanced, because obviously connection over correction is such a huge part of how I try to live my teaching life anyway, but even more so now. I just think I'm more reflective. I feel like I've just stepped back into the classroom a renewed woman. I don't know how else to explain it, but just taking a beat even more so, just having more patience. One thing that really stuck with me, I think it was Orlene that said it, but whatever we walk past is what we accept. And just, I've really just tried to keep that with me as much as I can. And even more so as well with Suzy, that I am the most important resource in my classroom alongside my gorgeous LSAs. I need to look after myself, which is very much somewhere that I have failed, I guess, in the TGMC approach. I've put everything into the classroom and I've not always looked after myself. But
isn't that always the way?
Yeah.
We always put ourselves at the end of our to-do list.
Hugely.
We're willing to let that fall off. But just as you said, we're the most important resource.
And I feel like I've managed to go back with a whole new mindset, and I've been leaving earlier, and guess what, the classroom's still standing the next day. And I feel like everyone in the room has been better for it. I've been more patient, and I've been able to do them what I have always sought out to do for those children, because I'm better.
You've got a clearer mindset, right?
Hugely.
You're not hamster wheeling.
No.
You're making time for yourself.
I'm not
which
chasing.
in turn supports everyone else.
Yeah. So renewed woman.
So new woman. It's a big one to follow. Tan, are you a new woman?
Hello. The new lady speaking. Oh, so many takeaways, so many goosebump moments, so many teary-eyed moments. It was brilliant. Orlene, and she really shared this, and again, I've always said this, and I think it really strengthened that we should never stop talking about including all of our children in our curriculum and representing each and every one of those children in the curriculum. We can do this in so many creative ways, and it's as small as having those discussions in the staff room. It's continuing those discussions for change as well. She really, I felt so empowered at the end of that. It was brilliant. And towards the end, I think Suzy showed us so many lovely strategies. That was a huge takeaway for me, to look after yourself and how to be brave and stay true to yourself. That was
a
huge.
Great question that you asked as well.
So huge, because I said it there, didn't I? I was just like, I feel nervous. How are we going to have these huge discussions? But she was like, you know what you're talking about. Stay true to you. And if someone doesn't like it, let them.
Yeah, you said something about trust as well. The word trust, I trust that you're feeling this way, really resonated with you.
Yes, with the students, and I've started using this with Lila as well, and I think that was from Dr. Marta as well, where she was like, I trust that you're full. She did it with her daughter, and it's the same with Lila. And I started using it with her. I've started using it with pupils that I talk with as well. I really trust that you can do this, and I trust your emotion. I trust that you're not ready to do this at the moment. Let's go and find something else to do, and then when you're ready, we can come back. Or how about I help you first, and then let's find an alternative way to do something. That trust element, that believing, because we can always say, believe in yourself. We can put a poster on our smart boards, but what does it mean? And how do we build that connection and trust with our students? I think that was another takeaway for me. So many.
Especially when children are telling us how they feel, and sometimes our reaction is like, no, but you don't. No, but you're fine. And she was saying about her daughter, and like Miles is exactly the same. I've gone through so many plasters, Hans, so many, mummy. And it's that trust of, I have an opportunity here. I can either create a boulder, we're going for pathways vocab, or a bridge. I can say, no, you're fine. Or I can say, I trust that's annoying you, or I trust that feels painful.
You're validating that.
And mama gonna get you a plaster. Yeah. I got you, boo. But it's that trust that supports those relationships and those everyday moments where we can reach out and create that bridge. So I think we had a similar takeaway, didn't we?
Yeah, I just felt that was like the best training day I've ever had.
I'm envisaging the film.
Like, honestly, honestly, it felt like the most coziest. This is the only way I can describe the most coziest CPD session. You know,
Yes.
like I was. And I know Jen was like, Sophie was like, and I was like, because I don't have a notebook.
I love you, by the way.
Like,
Was it changing you as a woman?
it was changing me as a woman. I think it was also validating for me, like with Orlene, it was validating the feelings that I felt before in the past. Like with Dr. Marta, it was like, yes, like I always have that battle with the lunchtime, and you get people saying, oh, eat a little bit more. Like, you know, I actually now go, are you done? And you can see some of them getting like afraid to say yes. And I'm like, it's okay to say you're done. Like, it's okay to say you don't want any more.
Trust yourself.
It's okay, you're done. Like, it's okay to stop. And yeah, I just felt like I was empowered to help empower my children. And that's what my biggest takeaway was like, you are now an advocate for your kids, no matter where you go and whoever you're around, it's validating them. And it's funny, like this week, like I love my nursery nurse assistant. She's literally my biggest cheerleader. I love her to death. And this week, even coming back from the training day, she had noticed a bigger change. She was like, you've just come back even more inspiring. And I was just like, oh, well, let me tell you about my wonderful weekend. And actually it was like, oh, I am actually putting these things into practice already. And that's what my biggest takeaway was. It was like the best CPD session for me. And hearing all of these ways that we can empower our school, our children, like their experiences, like that tribe from Adrian, it was just so validating when I talk to my children and saying to them like, hey team, and like my other teachers going, oh my gosh, you talk to them, you say hey team instead of everybody or reception. I'm like, yeah, because we are a team. And that was so nice. Oh, cozy.
It was like, definitely everyone was so energized. It was the equivalent of like charging your phone with like so much energy. Everyone just came in, plugged in, and they just left feeling so pumped up. And so many besties have literally, I had the besties message me saying, we have gone back to school this week and run a staff meeting because we were so pumped up. We were like, we need to do this right now, immediately, TJMC way. And it was just such a gorgeous energy to have everyone in the room so pumped up. For me, what was so incredible was how validating it was, because these are thought leaders in our industry, and to have them talk about the research and for us to say, we have taken that research and we have put it into practical strategies like movement in the classroom. Adrian spoke so much about the importance of movement for learning, well-being. We have a whole collection. We have like 5 trainings on movement, connection over correction, collaboration over competition. I was like, yes, this is what learning pathways is based on. The 90-second pause from Orlene, talking about taking a moment to regulate yourself. We have a whole training about that. Time's up for time's out, which is what Dr. Marta talked about, which is what we continually shout about. We continually say research does not back punitive consequences. And it's such a validating experience to have a thought leader and a psychologist say, this is not good for children's mental health or learning or motivation. So for me, it was just such an inspiring, powering up TGMC day. And even the last thing that Dr. Marta said about us being the movement, I think was just really, it was I mean, I was emotional. I'm always freaking emotional. But I do feel emotional with this mantra as well. God help me, I'm going to try and get through it. Are you ready? Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful citizens can change the world. Oh my goodness. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. What is wrong with me? Well, I just love that mantra because it's so TGMC. It's like, oh, we're just a teacher in our classroom, but it's not, because collectively we're so powerful and we are getting this message into so many classrooms. I stop there? Is this you? That is the end of season 2. It has been a trip. Oh my goodness, it's been such an amazing journey. Evie's a new woman, so that's good. For more behaviour support, you can find us at our new URL, which is www.tgmc. Beautiful.uk. Oh my goodness, I need to do it again. www.tgmc.uk. See you there, besties.
Bye.
Hey besties, I'm so excited to say that Behaviour Besties is sponsored by the amazing Sage Publications. And I am lucky enough to say that my book was published by Sage, Behaviour, The Lost Modules. They are the leading publication company for educational literature. And guess what? We have got a discount code for you. Yes, besties, check the notes to get your discount code and get your CPD on.